Hey guys, AuspiciousAussie here, and welcome to episode 7 of Australian Pro Wrestling. Now, today's episode, we're kicking things off pretty much at the start of March. Well, we are at Thursday. But as you can see, if you didn't check out the last episode, we slightly made a profit of $234. Now, if you do want to play TEW 2020, you can find a link to go and purchase that down in the description below. It does help the channel out if you do purchase the game through that link, so I'd very much appreciate it. And of course, you'll get your hands on TEW 2020, which I have to say, I'm actually having a lot of fun playing at the moment. I really like this default skin. So much better than what they had in the beta. Anyway, one other thing I want to check is our size. So as you can see, we're up to 43 popularity in New South Wales. And then we also have 21 popularity in Queensland and Victoria as well. So I think we're doing pretty well. As you can see, we started off on 16 in those two regions, and now we're up to 21, so that's going well. I mean, progress elsewhere is a little bit slower, such as Western Australia, Tasmania, and New Zealand. They're still only at 2. So I find that interesting, but at the same time, it's not too big of an issue because, again, we only want to get to medium size, which is the next step up. And then we can, do some certain things, offer, exclusive written contracts, essentially. They're not actually called written contracts, are they? What are they called? Oh, they are. Exclusive written. What would be the difference between a written deal and an exclusive written deal? Obviously, common sense makes you think that people can have written deals with multiple companies, but that kind of just wouldn't really make sense either way. Anyway, we're going to get into the next show. Of course, we're pretty much coming off the screw over by Gregory Grace in the last episode, costing Goliath Global the chance at regaining some power in APW. And obviously Victor Goliath was trying to recruit Grace to his stable. But obviously, that's not going to happen now. And I think for this main event of this next TV show, we are going to be doing Gregory Grace and Scotty Hampstead. It is going to be heel versus heel, but it kind of makes sense going forward. Might even see if we can put Christopher Gerard on commentary. There's Barney Mason, one of our wrestlers. Got pretty good star quality, which I didn't really notice when I looked at him quite a few episodes ago. So maybe we should think about pushing him. Of course, he's still in the storyline with Dexter Mattel, and things are going to get a little bit more interesting with that storyline because they were kind of just trading victories back and forth. But what I think we're going to do now that Dexter is in the agency, is we're going to want to have him essentially team up with, I guess, Damien Dastardly. We could also go, if we go to stables here really quick, we need to actually add Dexter in there. Pretty much just going to be a member, so there we go. We got to do that in the last episode. But everything's sorted now. And we find ourselves with 2 members in that stable. Once again, going to go a generic venue in New South Wales. And let's book that main event first. So it is going to be Scotty Hampstead, Gregory Grace, going one-on-one, 15 minutes. And we are, of course, going to give Gregory Grace the victory. However, there's going to be some interesting things happening, both during the match and then after the match in an angle as well. Doesn't need to be slow built. Alright, so during the match, we're going to have an interference. You might be wondering who's going to interfere this time. But it is going to be Damien Dastardly attacking Scotty Hampstead, which you probably would have expected. I did kind of mention that the agency were looking to sign a pretty big Star. Obviously, Star. Gregory Grace wears he wears star sunglasses to the ring. Yeah, so there we go. And then we're going to have a subsequent angle as well, where we're going to have Victor come out. And essentially what's going to happen is we're going to have a tag team match on the next show. So Victor's going to be teaming up with Massacre. And they're going to be taking on Damien Dastardly and, of course, Gregory Grace. I think for this angle, let's go with all three members of the agency, and then just Victor will do the talking for for Goliath Global. And that should be pretty good. I kind of like this storyline. It's kind of a mini storyline inside of another bigger storyline. Obviously, Scotty's feuding with Christopher Gerard, but then we also have Gregory Grace, who is also feuding with Gerard, and is kind of the new guy on the scene. So, yeah, I mean, I really like it, to be honest. Up next, I want to have... Let's actually go a singles match for Brisbane Devil, and he's going to take on Flip Buchanan. Let's give it 8 minutes. Flip can last a little bit longer, not really by his own choice. Let's just say Brisbane Devil is pretty much just enjoying beating the ever-living crap out of him. And Flip is, well, he's essentially our resident jobber. We are going to bring his brother in at some stage, but we'll just use Flip for now. Now, our other matches, we need to have a match. So I think on the last show, we had, Surfer Dude Lucas. So I think we'll go a Massacre match. And he can take on, let's go Banky Bremner. Going to be a non-title match, 10 minutes. Banky's pretty good as well. Massacre is going to pick up the victory, and then that'll allow us to have an angle for that sort of storyline as well. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to have Surfer Dude Lucas come out and actually attack Massacre after his match. We'll go Massacre and Selling as well. And essentially what's going to happen with that angle, Surfer Dude Lucas is going to run down to the ring with his surfboard and then just crack Massacre over the back of the head with it. Just a little bit of revenge from those two. Let's also do I think we can get away with one more 8-minute match. It's going to be all singles matches on this card, but I kind of want to have... Alright, so we've got Tyrant. I mean, I don't really want to use Tyrant, to be honest. Let's go with Leon Namath. And then he can take on... It's kind of just a bit of a thrown together match. Let's go with Dingo Divine. We haven't really been using him much. And it's going to be a pretty nice victory there for Dingo. Obviously going to help out Namath a little bit as well, as he's going to be in the ring with a pretty talented wrestler. Alright, we can do one more angle. So let's go with a Menace angle for Brisbane Devil. Alright, perfect. Let's make this a storytelling match, and we should be good to go. I think I will do one pre-show match, just to get a few more people on the card. Let's go with the Apocalypse. And they can take on R&R. Again, just a bit of a jobber squash match. R&R, they're both really young, so they're not Not really capable of doing too much at the moment. Alrighty, that looks pretty good. Let me do a quick save and let's start the show. Alright, so we start off with a 38, and we have the Apocalypse defeating R&R in 9:45 when Warmonger pinned Paul Reinhold with an Apocalypse nowish. Yeah, both members of the Apocalypse doing pretty well. 43 and a 45 there for each of them. And as you can see, R&R, they're still really green. They're not really up to scratch yet. Only getting a 20 and a 19. But they might be good in the future. We'll just have to wait and see. Alright, so we then start off the show with a 51. Where we have Brisbane Devil cutting his menace angle. Just basically being a scary dude. And he's essentially saying he doesn't care who he versus tonight. He's just in the mood to absolutely destroy someone. And of course, that is poor young Flip Buchanan. Already got bruises on his face, and he's probably got a few more after this match as well. Gets a 40, which is actually not too bad, considering it's Flip, and he's not very good at the moment. Anyway, Brisbane Devil does defeat Flip Buchanan 8:15 by pinfall with an Asian thumb spike, which I assume is like the Umaga finishing move that he used to do. Alright, we then go straight into a 42 rated match, where we have Dingo Divine defeating Leon Namath in 7:43 by pinfall with a Southern Lights suplex. Yeah, just a good match, just to give Dingo a win. He is kind of one of our stars, I think. So he's essentially like an upper mid-carder main eventer. We haven't really used him since the first couple of episodes. So we might want to try and find something for him to do. He might be able to take on Scotty Hampstead again, even though that was kind of what he did in the beginning. Or we could use Gregory Grace and have him go over Divine. That might be something we do in the future. Anyway, moving on to our next match, which also gets a 40, similar to the first match on the card. And we have Massacre defeating Banky Bremner in 9:40 by pinfall with a Black Descent. Again, pretty good match. Banky Bremner, you know, a young up-and-comer that we've recently signed, I think 2 episodes ago. So, you know, he's doing pretty well. He's up to a 23 in ring. And hopefully that'll start to get a little bit better as well. Alright, we then go into a 38 rated angle. And unfortunately, it's got penalized for a lack of star power in the segment. So it essentially needed to be shorter, maybe a minute shorter, having a fighting angle. Anyway, the point of the angle was that Surfer D. Lucas, like I said, brings his surfboard, runs down to the ring, and then cracks Massacre over the back of the head with it. Getting a bit of revenge for Massacre beating the crap out of him a couple of weeks ago on his fake beach. Moving on to the main event, which gets a 44, so it's obviously got penalized a little bit because of the heel versus heel factor, but still, it's not too bad. Not too bad. Anyway, we do have Gregory Grace defeating Scotty Hampstead in 15:20 by pinfall with a graceful exit. And during the match, we also had Damien Dastardly run in and attack Hampstead. So yeah, what does that mean? Damien Dastardly. It essentially means that Gregory Grace is now a new member of the agency. They've got their man. They've got their star power that they were kind of looking for. And as you can see, Victor Goliath is pissed. He is not happy. And he issues a challenge with Scotty Hampstead and Massacre to take on Damien Dastardly and Gregory Grace next week on This Is War. 51's pretty good angle. Although, I mean, the 4 guys that are rated on Entertainment, they're all pretty good at what they do in that regard. So, pretty happy with that. Let's finish the show. And that one's pretty bad. Okay, we had too many matches. I think we need to stick to 3 matches. Yeah, because we've had this happen before. Yeah, we get a 35 for our overall show rating, but it looks like we took a massive penalty due to the crowd not being happy as they expected more angles and interview segments. So we do lose popularity in one region, but we still gain popularity in 6. I'm assuming, well, logically you would think that's New South Wales. I'm just hoping we didn't go back down to 42. Because that would kind of suck. Anyway, we've got an email here. We get a 0.03 TV rating, which is just over 23,000 viewers. So I think that's down a little bit, but again, that kind of makes sense with what happened. One thing maybe we could do is possibly change the product settings a little bit. I mean, let's have a look at it here. Alright, so we are family-friendly wrestling. Alright, so our TV shows need to be 60% matches and 40% angles. And obviously, as you can see, our ratio is between 30% in-ring action, 70% popularity. So, yeah. That's interesting because it's definitely more favored towards popularity. Also worth mentioning that we can only have basic match setups like cages and ladder matches, overhead wires are being acceptable for our company. Okay, no, that's interesting. I mean, it's good to actually look at the product. I probably should have done that when I first started the series. But in my mind, I felt like I kind of knew what was going on, even though it clearly looks like I didn't. Anyway. We've just got to be careful. I think we need to stick to 3 matches per show. And then we'll do 4 angles. And I think that should hopefully sort us out in regards to that. I mean, another thing we could do, because we are more favored to popularity, we could try and look for someone to sign that does have decent popularity in Australia. That could be an interesting option. Because I think Gregory Grace has pretty good popularity. I can't remember if it was 40 or 50, but he had something like that in pretty much every region. I think apart from New Zealand. I think it was 40, like 47 or something. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was what it was when we first signed him. Either way, another big or semi-big star I think would be pretty beneficial for us. Preferably a face. Let's actually jump in and have a look at the roster. We do have a massive roster, considering how many people we use per show. Yeah, he's at 49s, so very, very close to a 50. But he's also pretty good in the ring. Like, he's definitely not too shabby. He kind of fits our whole product as well. Being popular, obviously, doesn't need to be that good in the ring. Oh wow, King Malietoa changing his style. Now classified as a powerhouse. And unfortunately, he's gone from bulky to flabby. That's not great. Let me have a look at his star quality. Well, his menace has actually gone up. So I guess that's a positive. Stamina's gone up as well, so... Yeah, it doesn't look like he's actually lost any star quality either. He's also gained more sex appeal. With that. I mean, yeah, that's really strange. Is bulky worse than flabby? I'm assuming it must be, yeah. Because that's pretty strange if it's not. and it's the other way around. Either way, it's a positive. Some of his stats increased. Alright, so again, oh, we did go down. We went down to 42, man. We worked so hard to get up to 43, and then I just get penalized for not having enough angles. So frustrating. Anyway, I do have an incident, so let's go back to here. Damien Dastardly. Oh, nice. Creating a nice backstage mood with karaoke there. Alright, so we need our tag team match. Get that one booked in first. So it is going to be, well, actually, let's add him to the stable first. So we need Gregory Grace. I guess we'll just we'll go member. I mean, in theory, there should be another button that says, like, star. I guess you would kind of consider leader to be the star of the group. Interesting. Doesn't matter too much, but it would be beneficial. Anyway, Gregory Grace, Damien Dastardly, and of course they're taking on Massacre and Scotty Hampstead for 15 minutes. And we are indeed going to have Gregory go over on Massacre. However, once again, going to be some interference. This time it's going to be a distraction. And the distraction is going to be on Massacre by Surfer Dude Lucas. As you can see there, once again getting involved with Massacre. Their storyline's pretty good. I'm liking it, how it's sort of playing out. So let's also do a distraction finish, because it is going to cost him the match as well. Yep, perfect. Let's also make it an open match and scripted. There we go. Alright, so there's the main event. Now, I also want to... Who was our number one contenders? Wilkes? Oh, that's right. We were doing the triple threat. So let's have another match. This time, let's go with one member of each team. So I think it was Fox and Possum, and then it was Whirlwind, Lee Wilkes, and Lidecker. So we'll go with both of these guys as well. And let's have them draw again. And this time, we'll also have some more interference from each of their tag team partners. So Pookie Possum will be attacked by Warren Lidecker. And then Lee Wilkes will be attacked by... There he is, Richie Fox. Alright, I couldn't find him for some reason. Alright, so that's another draw. And again, that's going to sort of continue the whole tag team storyline we've got going on with the triple threat. Then finally, let's go with a tag team match. And let's have the Apocalypse. They can take on Positive Energy. Just kind of a match. Actually, let's not do... Yeah, should we? Let's do a 6-man instead. I kind of want to get someone else on the card. Let's have the Apocalypse, and they can team up with Tyrant to take on Positive Energy, and they can be teamed up with... Where is he? Suburban Legend. I think that's a good match. I like it. And let's have Hatemonger pick up the victory. And then I guess we'll make Casey be the loser. And there we go. So we'll keep it to 3 matches, like I said. But let's do some angles. So we obviously need... Let's go with a Goliath global angle with all 3 members. So 4 members, sorry. So Victor, Scotty, we then need Massacre, and then of course Reggie Tate as well. Realize we have Reggie Hammer and Reggie Tate. That's going to be a little bit annoying. Let's just have Victor do the speaking. Let's also have an angle between Richie Fox and Warren Lidecker, and they can be backstage fighting. And that can happen before the match, which kind of makes sense as to why they would come out and then attack each member's tag team partner. So let's have an outside, I guess, DQ finish. Yeah, that kind of works. All right, perfect. Let's also make that a storytelling match, because it does actually have kind of a story behind the whole match. And then what else do we need? I guess we could just maybe have a Samoan demolition angle as well. Maybe to start the show. Or I guess we could go with... I just noticed that there is no angle for... Alright, I know what we'll do. Let's go with Dexter Mattel, and he's just going to cut an angle onto Barney Mason once again. Pretty simple. And what's going to happen during this angle... Oh, had to sneeze. Is Barney is going to pretty much just look at Dexter and think, you know, he looks him up and down and says, you know, you could do better than joining the agency. He doesn't actually say anything, but he just gives him that look backstage, and then Dexter Mattel kind of just goes off on a bit of a tirade. Let's just say a tirade. And that's going to start the show off. I guess we can actually go another angle as well. So what I will do is we'll have a... Let's go with a hate monger and warmonger, so the Apocalypse can have a menace angle as well. And of course, joined by Sean Quartermain, who can be rated on entertainment. So that'll be 5 minutes as well. And that can also go before their match. Once again, let's go for a cheeky little pre-show match in here as well. Who do we have left? We do have Samoan Demolition. They can take on White Wasp and Reggie Hammer. There we go. I know he's a heel. All right, let's not use him. Let's use a face. Let's go with White Wasp, and I just noticed we haven't really used Christopher Gerard because we've been focusing on other storylines. You can take on Banky Bremner and White Wasp. King Maliotoa to pick up the victory. And then let's also give... Oh, pre-show. My bad. Let's also give Christopher Gerard a match as well. And he can take on... Yeah, Reggie Hammer. There we go. Please don't injure him. That would kind of piss me off. Anyway. I'm also hoping that the pre-show matches don't actually count towards the penalties, because that'd be pretty frustrating. Anyway, give it a save and let's start the show. Start off with a 43 for our first pre-show match, where we have Samoan Demolition defeating White Wasp and Banky Bremner in 9:56 when King Maleotoa pinned Banky Bremner with a Devil's Drop. Yeah, pretty good match. 43 is not too bad, actually. That was better than their match they had on TV was it last week or 2 weeks ago? Actually, I think it was last week. Anyway, we then get a 42 for our other pre-show match where we have Christopher Gerard, of course, the Commonwealth champion, defeating Reggie Hammer, who I thought this might have been his debut. Anyway, defeats him in 10:15 by pinfall with a T-bone suplex. And Reggie Hammer getting an 11 in-ring performance. Really bad. Really, really bad. Anyway, we then start the show off with a 35. Of course, we have the angle between Dexter Mattel and Barney Mason. And of course, Barney's just kind of looking at him like he's a bit of a loser, almost. Like, just looking down on him a bit. I know Barney's the face, but he's kind of just not impressed by the fact that Dexter did join the agency. And of course, Dexter kind of looking like the patsy of the three members at the moment. No, definitely not the top guy. And of course, he's looking like the bottom guy of the three. We then go into a 42 rated angle where we do have the Apocalypse joined by their manager, Sean Quartermain. And of course, they cut a pretty menacing angle with Sean Quartermain, essentially putting them over as two monster heels. We then go into the 6-man tag, which gets a 42, where we do have Tyrant and the Apocalypse defeating Suburban Legend and Positive Energy in 9:49 when Hatemonger pinned Casey with a double arm DDT. Yeah, it's a pretty good match. I'm actually kind of happy with that. 42, I think, is pretty decent. We then go into a 41 where we have Richie Fox and Warren Lidecker brawling backstage prior to their tag team partners going at it in a singles match. 41's not too bad. I thought that would be a lot worse for a fighting angle. We then go into another 41, this time for the match with our tag team partners. And we once again have Whirlwind Lee Wilkes drawing with Pookie Possum in 9:47 following a double disqualification. During the match, we also saw Warren Lidecker run in and attack Possum, and Richie Fox also attack Wilkes. So yeah, there we go. Another essentially draw between these two tag teams. Wow. Okay, wow. 73 rated angle. And this is actually by accident. So Victor Goliath, obviously Goliath Global, having an angle together. And of course, Scotty and Massacre are about to go into their tag match. But yeah, I accidentally forgot to put script on for Victor. But as you can see, he had the crowd in the palm of his hand the entire time, getting us a 73 rated angle. That is massive. Hopefully that'll help these other guys' popularity as well. Anyway, moving on to the main event. Gets a 51 despite it being heel versus heel. So I'm pretty happy with that. And then we also have Gregory Grace and Damien Dastardly defeating Massacre and Scotty Hamstead in 14:45 when Gregory Grace pinned Massacre with a graceful exit following a distraction from Surfer Dude Lucas. Yeah. Surfer Dude Lucas essentially costing Massacre the match and once again getting involved in what's going on. And of course, those two are going to collide at the next pay-per-view, which is Fight Night apparently, and I haven't booked it in, so let's get that booked in right now. So it is going to be Massacre and Surfer Dude Lucas going at it for the Australian title. I think we'll give it 15 minutes. Yeah, let's give him some decent time. And unfortunately, Massacre is going to pick up the victory in this one. So, yeah, Surfer Dude Lucas is... his venture towards this title is not going to be fruitful, despite him essentially going down and getting dirty with some different tactics that he would probably not normally use. But we can also call this match, which I think is pretty good. There we go. That one's booked in, and of course we also have... well, we're not going to pre-book it in yet. It doesn't need to be pre-booked in yet. Alright, so let's finish the show. And luckily we get a 49 for the overall show rating, increasing our popularity in 7 regions. And hopefully, with that, we might be back up to a 43 in New South Wales. I really hope we are, because that kind of sucks that we got penalised for our angles. So let's have a quick look at the size. And in fact, we're back up to 43. So that's perfect. We're also up to 11 and 22s in these other regions. So interesting that these 3 regions over here, I know they're kind of far away from New South Wales, but they're all so low. It must have something to do with spillover or something like that. Anyway, the viewing figures for This Is War, we got a 0.03 again, but we got over 25,000 viewers this time. So definitely a lot better than the last one. I think about nearly 2,000 more viewers. Hopefully that'll help out the broadcast revenue. And then we have Gregory Grace's opinion. He thinks Damien Dastardly is going to be a star in his opinion. The kid is worth pushing hard. That's why you're in the same stable together, boys. Well done. Well done. And that's why Damien Dastardly is the heir to the agency. Going to be taken over from Debonair down the line. Debonair will probably still be in the stable, but I think we'll make Damien, once he gets up to like a major star level, he will be the leader. That's my plans for it anyway. But yeah, that is going to essentially wrap up the episode, guys. So thank you very much for watching. Make sure you give the video a like if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you're a new viewer. Make sure you turn on the notification bell. And apart from that, guys, as always, take it easy and goodbye.